Today's podcast is brought to you by itpro.tv. If you go to itpro.tv/ring, you can find a coupon code, Paul, and it is, in fact, ring30.
Good. I appreciate your certainty.
Yeah, you can, right there. Just put a slash, ring.
It's actually there. You just can't see it.
Yeah.
It's off the screen.
I need a bigger TV. I like the
Get
55
one of
inches
those
isn't big enough. So that's here we are. And now we sit and twiddle our thumbs and wait for the big EU announcement today. Paul, are you up to speed on this?
I assume EU is going to come down on Apple today.
Nope.
Oh, no. Okay.
Nope.
What is it? What is it?
They said by March 5th, they would rule on the Bethesda ZeniMax thing.
Oh.
So either they're going to come out and say, Microsoft, go get them, Tiger. Or they're going to say, Microsoft, why don't you take a seat?
There's no antitrust concern here at all. I don't understand
So
what could go wrong.
here's, I haven't contextualized this, but I figure, a podcast is a good time to do that. And I'm not trying to put Microsoft on a pedestal, but you'll see where this is going. Microsoft, as of right now, is the only of the large tech companies on the planet that has the capacity or the ability to produce games. Google has tried, gave up. Amazon has tried, gave up. Microsoft's the only one who's been able, I don't know if it's understands that hey, you put a couple $1 billion into this. This isn't a new feature of an OS. This takes 5 years to get your money back. Maybe every other company has just sort of been that's not for us. Yeah. You think about it, Facebook doesn't do it. Apple doesn't do it. Google doesn't do it. Amazon doesn't do it. I mean, you could maybe make the argument that Apple's kind of in it, but they're only doing mobile games, and those things they're not in-house. They go to a company and say, I'm going to buy that. And then,
right. Well, that's a fine line. I mean, you buy a studio. It's like they must be, well, I don't know that they bought TV studios, but they are certainly partnering with content creators for exclusive content on Apple TV Plus. Yeah.
I mean, it's it's not Microsoft's the only company that can do this, but they're the only company currently committed to this sort of long-term horizon bet of gaming studios, not gaming, but owning the gaming studio.
Right, that's true. Well, Sony too. I mean, it's just that Sony's been in it for so long. You don't hear a lot about Sony buying studios, but Microsoft has had to really catch up.
So it's an interesting sort of little thought nugget or something.
I get the other thing that I sort of have in the back of my mind. Obviously, one of the big stories about the EU and big tech is they're clearly going after. We think of it as American companies because that's where most of the big tech companies are. A lot of the big tech companies, certainly the consumer stuff, and so you sort of see it as an us versus them thing. But from the EU's perspective, it is actually sort of us versus them because they're going after things like taxes for companies that aren't paying taxes in Europe, and they want to make sure that gatekeepers aren't disenfranchising European companies, et cetera, et cetera. And it's okay, well, this is a battle that's been kind of setting up for a long time to come. But this is happening in China too. I don't know if you saw this latest, China kind of came out and said, here's what we how we think things are going to go going forward. And here are some of the challenges we face. And, they're obviously the world's next big economic superpower. And one of the things that happened because of the U.S. sanctions against Huawei and other companies is they're well, we need to get all this stuff going in-house, in country, I guess. And so that is also setting up as an us versus them situation, and we're just entering a phase in which a lot of technology is kind of cross-compatible. You can get Apple TV Plus and a Chromecast, it's all starting to happen, right? But that's all happening within American companies. You know what I mean? At some point, the silos might be going up again. Just coming from governmental or regional concerns or whatever. It's that plays into this too. But I don't know. One American company wants to buy another American company.
Right. This is what
I think if Microsoft had been one of those other big tech companies, there would have been a lot more scrutiny of this.
Yeah. And Microsoft, to their credit, has been smart about this. They aren't building data centers in all these countries necessarily because they feel like they need the capacity. Sure. They're doing it because they know that if these countries lock down, and Microsoft announced, I think this week, they're building a new data center region in China. Yeah. And they're doing it because if China, Germany, EU, whoever comes and says, "Hey, you've got to have it all on premise or on turf, not on premise," like Microsoft's like, "We're already set up." Like,
no, I agree with that completely.
It's a political play and a technological one. And
you got to be there. Well, you already got to be there, I guess, for the GDPR, right? In some cases, I know Germany has specific laws around that.
Mm-hmm.
So.
There's economists somewhere sitting in a dark room writing a book about the emerging siloed economy that is going to return, and
it's the new Cold War,
Yeah, well, it's an economic war. I mean, that's kind of that might be a little harsh, but that's where we're headed.
No, that's what it is.
It's everybody wants.
The rise of regionalism. I mean, there's been an anti-American backlash in Europe for a long time. I mean, the sight of a McDonald's on the Champs-Élysées in Paris, or which, by the way, just as a fun aside, as I said that, I remembered, by per capita, the United States is the number one consumer of McDonald's food, right?
Yeah.
Number two, France. And they are outraged about McDonald's being in Paris or whatever, but they literally love McDonald's. So
if anybody has a vague interest in anything we just said, there's a really good book. It's an older book now called The World is, I think it's called The World is Flat. And it's
Thomas Friedman, right?
Yeah. It's effectively how the online economy basically flattened the world economy, because now everybody can connect everybody, and its logistics are, especially now, super easy. I'd love for that same author to come back and say now the world is bumpy, because that's
now there are walls everywhere.
Yeah, like
it got flat so we could build the walls. For sure.
So along
this is not a topic for us, but I mean, there's such a rise in local economies as well, like farmers markets have sprung up everywhere in the United States, local breweries and wineries and distilleries, and it's interesting seeing it kind of come around. Like we've had this taste of what it means to go to a supermarket and have millions of choices of food that is basically as plastic as the container it comes in, and now it's like, I think I want a fresh vegetable or some artisanal cheese or something,
Right. It's like if you want corn in January, it's not coming straight from the farm. Like it's been in a freezer.
Or you get those awful tomatoes in January that are curiously red, and they're really super pale and have been nicely dyed. It's gross.
Yeah, things that aren't gross, though, Paul, is if you want to upskill your IT skills. You can go over to itpro.tv, which is a skills development platform addressing the global IT skills gap by providing online training for IT professionals in every stage of their career with training that's more like a talk show. IT pros can watch and learn at a more affordable, convenient, and better than classroom experience. Learn on the go, or at your own pace, business, personal, everything in between at itpro.tv/ring30. Or no, just /ring. And then it's
wow,
almost had it.
You entered this thing, you nailed it.
Well, I was trying to play off of our
It's okay.
Anyways, waiting for that Bethesda news to drop.
You think it's just going to happen at like 9:00 something a.m. ET?
I don't know. They said their own information was that they would rule by March 5th. So I guess they could come out and say like,
we need 5 hours, 6 hours ahead or whatever. Yeah. So it might be later in the day for us. Like 3 p.m. right is 9 a.m. here.
Yeah, but
3 p.m. here is 9 a.m. in Brussels or whatever.
What? They're ahead of us, right? Like their day is almost done.
No. Their day has yet to begin. When we hit 3 p.m., it's 9 a.m. there.
In Europe?
Yeah.
Paul, what time is it in France right now?
Right, 3 p.m. Sorry, I got it backwards.
Yeah, I was waiting.
People who are watching the show, and I feel bad for all of you. We usually record this at 1 p.m. on a Friday, and today we had to do it at a different time. You're right. I'm sorry, I got it backwards.
I could see the math working. I'm like, Paul, you transposed
it's 3 Yeah, you're right. They're ahead of us. Yep. Sorry. I haven't gotten to travel a lot lately.
Maybe time zones has changed in the past year.
What time is it in Denver now? I'm okay. Sorry.
That's the benefit of a Friday show, right?
Maybe
we just put the camera on Paul, let him sweat a little more.
Right, like that scene in broadcast news. It's like rivulets of sweat.
Other things, Visual Studio Code now supports M1 Max. Is going to take me a while to get used to, because every time I see an M in a letter, I think of a B&W, and it's not.
Right. Well, Apple users do too. But that name's going to be transitionary. That's the problem, because there's going to be, there's going to be an M2, 3, 4, whatever. Yeah. There is, right? So M1 based Macs is so much easier to say than Apple Silicon based Macs, but that is in fact probably the proper term. I wish it was a better term, but yeah, we're going to have to adapt as new chips come out, I guess.
Yeah, which the other interesting thing will be to watch too, which we don't know yet. Technically, we don't quite know. Is Apple going to release a new chip every year? Intel kind of does, but is Apple going to? I mean, Apple kind of does, I guess, with their phones. So is that going to be the same?
Well, they
thing?
absolutely do, right? So if you think about like any generation of chips, sometimes there'll be like an X or a Z version that's slightly tweaked, maybe for an iPad Pro or something. And the M1 was what, just like an A, where are we at, 14 or something, basically, and adapted for the PC or for the Mac form factor. So yeah, I expect there to be, you could see an M1X or something, maybe for the MacBook Pro that comes next, the iMac or something, or they'll call it an M2. But there'll be something. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how they do this, because like the upper level chips that require better graphics and horsepower and so forth, we'll see how they brand it. Intel obviously has multiple levels of core chips and other chipsets and everything, different brands, and who knows?
Yeah, I feel like AMD launches a new chipset every 3 weeks, based on the emails that I get. And I cannot. They keep these people are extremely nice. And they always reaching like, "Do you want to come to the?" Yes, please send me the info. Very happy to read it. But sometimes it's like AMD 3800, 3800U, 3800UD, and it's like, oh my god, like, yeah. Anyways.
Yep.
So, Chrome is gonna do it faster. Every 4 weeks, they're gonna be pushing updates now. So once a month.
It's getting confusing because there's going to be a 4 and an 8 week schedule now. And then there's some question about how they're going to handle Chrome OS, because every 4 weeks is well, it's not brutal, but I mean, it's, tough. I think your Chrome OS users are going to have the option to opt into an alternate schedule that will either be 6
so
or 8
is there
weeks.
Chrome OS LTSC?
No, it's more like an MTSC, like minimal, whatever. It's, no, they move Chrome OS forward. Well, every 6 weeks, and it's staggered off of the Chrome release. So I don't know if it's 6 weeks later or 2 weeks later, whatever the time frame is, but they just had a note, like they didn't actually say what they're going to do with Chrome OS explicitly, but they did say we'll offer an option for people who don't want every 4 weeks.
Which is good.
Or probably really.
I was actually reading a thread on Reddit, and a couple people were like, "Well, who even monitors this stuff? Because why don't just it's not Windows, just let it run." And then some guy chimed in and goes, "I'm in healthcare and I'm completely screwed."
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
It's like, sorry, you can't have an MRI today because Chrome updated. It's not.
Well, this raises the question about Edge and any other Chromium-based browser too, right? So you can expect Microsoft and Brave and Opera and whatever sometime soon to come out and say, okay, well, given what Google just did, because it impacts Chromium, obviously, not just Chrome. So we'll see. And of course, it also raises the ugly specter of why are they really doing this, right? I mean, do we really need a new browser every 4 weeks? And I wonder if this doesn't have something to do. It seems like they're contracting a bit from stuff that's Chromium only, and pulling it into Chrome and making it a little harder on the companies that build off of Chromium. So
I was wondering that too, if like this was a, hey, we control the narrative situation.
Yep. So, I mean, that is, it's a legit fair for sure. When you adopt anything Google based.
Yeah, it's here 1 week and gone the next.
We don't change the rules again.
They could. And if we're going to change the background, we're going to change it to itpro.tv, who sponsor today's podcast. You can check out itpro.tv/ring for a special offer, and we'll be back on Monday because today is Friday.
Woo-hoo.